Not My Best Side by U.A.Fanthrope. Not my best side, I'm afraid. The artist didn't give me a chance to pose properly, and as you can see, poor chap, he had this obsession with triangles, so he left off two of my feet. I didn't comment at the time. What, after all, are 2 feet to a monster? But afterwards I was sorry for the bad publicity. Why, I said to myself, should my conqueror be so ostentatiously beardless, and ride a horse with a deformed neck and square hoofs? Why should my victim be so unattractive as to be inedible, and why should she have me literally on a string? I don't mind dying richly, since I always rise again, but I should have liked a little more blood, to show they were taking me seriously. It's hard for a girl to be sure if she wants to be rescued. I quite took to the dragon. It's nice to be liked, if you know what I mean. He was so nicely physical, and his claws, and with his claws and lovely green skin, and that sexy tail, and the way he looked at me, he made me feel he was all ready to eat me, and any girl enjoys that. So when this boy turned up, wearing machinery, on a really dangerous horse, to be honest, I didn't much fancy him. What was he like underneath the hardware? He might have acne, blackheads, or even bad breath, for all I could tell. But the dragon, well, you could see all his equipment at a glance. Still, what could I do? The dragon got himself beaten by the boy, and a girl's got to think of her future. I have diplomas in dragon management and virgin reclamation. My horse is the latest model with automatic transmission and built-in obsolescence. My spear is custom built, and my prototype armor still on the secret list. You can't do better than me at the moment. I'm qualified and equipped to the eyebrow. So why be difficult? Don't you want to be killed and or rescued in the most contemporary way? Don't you want to carry out the roles that sociology and myth have designed for you? Don't you realize that by being choosy, you're endangering job prospects in the spear and horse building industries? What, in any case, does it matter what you want? You're in my way. Not My Best Side is about challenging stereotypes and stereotypical representation not only in art but also in the society. The structure of the poem is just split into 3 stanzas. Each stanza is in the persona of one of the 3 characters, the maiden or the dragon or the knight, and each one is very dramatic. And U.A.Fanthrope subverts the traditional legend of Saint George. Themes explored in this poem are mythology, personality, and stereotypes. We can also see that it has a very conversational, colloquial tone to it because the enjambment used in this to reflect a very human-like voice. We also see the use of head phrases like "I mean" and tail phrases like "I'm afraid" to mirror spoken English. We see that U.A.Fanthrope also breaks all the rules of poetry to kind of mirror the subverting stereotypes and stereotypical images. It's very unconventional because it encourages to look beyond stereotypes. Well, the first stanza is in the dragon's persona, and we see that it's highly humorous, and the traditionally evil and fearsome image of the dragon is turned into a very vain and thoughtful kind of image. Quite complaining, really, as well. And we see the use of parenthesis in over there, and it kind of involves us directly because it addresses the audience directly, and colloquial language is used by the use of contracted words like I'm instead of I am. We also see the use of alliteration, for example, post properly, and this emphasizes that the dragon is preoccupied with his own appearance and can't be bothered about anything else, really. And the dragon is kind of like a positive image in this because I think it's kind of humorous, and it breaks the stereotypical image of the dragon to make it seem more friendly. It's also concerned about his public image, and this comes across clearer in the phrase "a little more blood," and we can kind of get the idea that he wants to seem like a martyr but isn't really, so he just wants to get a good name from the public. Then we also see that he's got a very higher social colloquial dialect with the use of phrases like poor chap and didn't comment and things like that, which is a good thing to notice. And next stanza is for the maiden, and the maiden is not conventional whatsoever. Um, she's very materialistic, and she's a typical 20th century teenager, and not one of those fairy tale maidens. We can see that she's very materialistic because of the phrase "a girl's got to think of the future." She only wants to take the best offer. She's very pragmatic and not romantic at all. She's very forward as well, and crude because of the phrase "eat me," which has got dual meaning to it. And um, we also see the use of some like innuendos here, which are used to convey her boldness and really emphasize on the fact that she is not one of those traditional fairy tale princesses by any means. And this completely subverts the traditional image of one. And she prefers the dragon to the knight, and that's very strange. Um, and she's also kind of lonely because we get the idea from the phrase "nice to be liked" that she wants to be liked but can't be. And the phrase "and any girl enjoys that" is not the stereotypical naive, innocent virgin, but a very modern woman. It also shows suggestive um, other desires, um, you know, with phrases like "what was he like underneath the hardware." It's another innuendo. Finally, the last stanza is about the knight, or Saint George in this case, and he's very arrogant and boastful and not the hero type. Um, and he kind of mirrors a very technology obsessed teenager, and we can see this by the use of all this technical um, words and phrases like automatic transmission. It's very boastful and cocky. He's very overconfident as well. He uses technical modern language to describe his equipment as if it's a car or a motorbike. And he's very overconscious and overconfident too. And alliteration in diplomas and dragon, blah blah. This kind of shows us and emphasizes that he's very harsh, aggressive, and very arrogant. The phrase "don't you" is also arrogant and aggressive. It has a very aggressive tone to it, and it's kind of ungallant and very selfish. And the final phrase "you're in my way" shows that he's a total chauvinist. And we can also see that Spears custom built is kind of suggestive too. And we can see that he's very shallow as well. He's not the typical knight who comes and saves the princess.